We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people.
Good morning, peasants. I do look like a peasant today in my hoodie and everything. This is a hoodie I got the day after I got out of prison. Woo! I got this in Missouri at Walmart there. You know what's so funny? You know, like day out of prison, right?
Is that like a Swain's?
No, it was just a Walmart.
Oh.
It was just a super Walmart in Ava, Missouri, I think is where we were, where we ended up. And anyways, go in there, and I'm still in my prison grays. Like I'm in my gray sweats and my brown prison shirt and my long johns. Like that's all I have. Like that's it.
Did you walk in? They went aisle 4.
No, yeah, okay. I'm in my like Reebok SA sneakers, you know, from prison. I love those things. It's like the shoes I wanted to bring home was my Reebok SA shoes.
Was this like in walking distance from the?
No.
Okay.
So what happened was we got out at 11:30 p.m. Right, we got pardoned earlier in the evening. No, we're going home. Then they had to call. It was Martin Luther King Day. It's a federal holiday. So the cadre at the prison were not there, right? Case managers and stuff like that. And so they got called in like, 4 or 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whenever the pardon happened. And they had to have us out by midnight. So they had to come in, process paperwork, and get us out. So anyways, they got us out at 11:30 p.m. And there was some billionaire apparently that has a resort nearby, and he offered for us to stay a couple nights to get regrounded. So wow, we got met by a small group of people outside the prison. My wife was there, and the guy that was with me, his wife was there. And
I was just imagining when you said you walked out with your grays, I was imagining you walked across the street to the store that's right outside the pen, and you walk in, and the cashier is so used to seeing people coming out of prison, he went, aisle 4.
Aisle 4.
That's where you can go pick up your kit.
No, we ended up going to this
you get out of prison kit.
Got there like midnight. No, we got there like 2 a.m. because it was like a 2-hour drive, an hour and a half drive. Got there middle of the night, slept in. Next morning, that's when we headed into the nearest town, which was Ava, and got some clothes. But the sweater, that's what this came. So I'll wear this for a few more minutes. Anyways, good stuff. Well, there's this lady, Jennifer Welch. I don't really know where to fit this in the rest of the show, but this woman, this is the 3rd clip we've played of this woman. She's just off her rocker. I don't know how else to describe it. This is one of those like, this is going to fit into the larger TDS narrative. Like this person has TDS. The other day when she was talking about Stephen Miller, she was, how tall is he? It's like this weird, how tall is he? He's a Nazi. He's a little, SS officer. He's like Goebbels. How tall is he? It's like this weird, they're projecting something onto the others that goes deeper than just bickering over tax rates or
you're Republican.
How big and expansive should our social safety net? There's something underlying that's just sick. I don't know where else to fit this, but this woman is crazy.
Everybody in the MAGA regime wakes up, goes to a microphone, pathologically, impulsively, compulsively lies all day long. They go home. If in the case of Moses Mike Grinder Johnson, they go home and do gay stuff. Then they get up the next morning and then they get up and they lie again for a man that is like 90, has full-blown dementia and looks like he's about to keel over any minute. And so again, I want to emphasize all of this could end. All of this could end if there were some people in this country that had some fucking courage.
Where were you when Joe Biden was about ready to pass out?
I don't know. That's the thing. I'm like, she's disconnected from reality. Like she clearly, you need to clean up your X account, lady. Your echo chamber sucks. I really try hard to include people in my echo chamber that I don't agree with, just so I can see the other side. Like, woman, trust me, they're not all going home and having Grindr accounts. Like, geez Louise, man. They get on the microphone every day and they pathologically lie. I don't lie. I'm just playing your clips. I don't even know where to go with this. Like, is this news? I'm not sure. You have a way bigger following than me, so whatever. All right, Pony Boy. Good morning. Good morning, John Atakis, Frazier. It's a Boise Monday morning. Well, that's wonderful. PB Brown's Utah Scouts, morning bro homies. Presence Perspective. Ron, that's you. Good morning. Not a easel. I'm listening to you and Ron. We're so glad to have you with us this morning. Callouts, good morning to everyone. The firmament is looking beautifully clear and unobstructed by chemtrails today. You know, I went to that chemtrails or EPA.gov/contrails, and you go in there and it has like facts, basically everything the government knows, all their studies. There's links to different things about.
Does it show you a map of everywhere they let contrails out?
Here's the thing: there's a lot of stuff viral talking about how, you know, the government's admitting to chemtrails, but they're not. Yeah. They're actually saying chemtrails, as most people look up, they're spraying us in the sky. Those are contrails, according to their thing. They're like, to our knowledge, no one's ever dumped anything in the atmosphere like that. Everything's permitted. Anyways, they dumped a lot of info. Like, and they did do some, you know, like there are guys like Bill Gates that are trying to block out the sun, and there's smaller weather modification things, but the EPA, the transparency thing. Anyways, Callouts, you need to go debunk the EPA site or at least check it out. Anyways, I checked it. My wife was like, look, they've confirmed contrails. There's a, you know, Lee Zeldin speech. So I actually went to the website. I was like, no, that's the exact opposite. He's just data dumping. He's giving us everything they have. Pony Boy. So she's being homophobic.
Don't be so triggered, bro.
Yeah, don't be so triggered. Oh, good morning, everybody. This is great. So Donald Trump had a whirlwind trip to Asia this weekend. I think he's already back in town.
What?
Or no, he's there one more. I don't know. He might
in between passing out.
He sat down and signed another peace deal. So let's set the stage for our weekend coverage.
Who else needs peace?
Russia and Ukraine. That's about it. I don't know. If you could bring some peace to Chicago, that'd be nice.
Well, this is so exciting because we did something that a lot of people said couldn't be done, and we saved maybe millions of lives on this one peace deal itself. And I'll tell you what makes me so happy is the two countries we're dealing with, and the third that helped so much. I appreciate so much. Maybe it couldn't have been done without you, but they really like each other. I'm not used to that when I do these deals. Usually there's a lot of hatred. They like each other. So it made it a little bit easier. But millions of people are alive today because of this peace treaty. So before I begin, I want to extend our deepest condolences to the Prime Minister, Newsom, as well as His Majesty, the King of Thailand, and the entire nation on the passing of Her Majesty, Queen Sirikhet, the Queen Mother, and a beautiful, incredible woman who is so respected all over the world, actually respected. I know the people of Thailand will remember her forever as the embodiment of dignity, kindness, and grace. This just happened. But this is a woman who is so loved and respected. Today we honor the memory by bringing the blessing of peace to the nation she dearly loved. She loved this nation like few people love their nations. This is a momentous day for all of the people of Southeast Asia as we sign a historic agreement to end the military conflict between Cambodia and Thailand. Well, this is
Cambodia and Thailand. Again,
well, I would say
not on our radar, right?
No, but it did look like he had a little jet lag.
People have said he didn't sleep. He has not slept for 48 hours.
That's what it looks like.
Meetings.
That's what it looked like.
Surprise. But according to Karen Walsh, he's about to fall over dead.
Well, no, he's still moving.
Saving millions of people's lives. So I saw a picture of he has solved 8 major world conflicts.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of them, and it was like every single one of them had Muslim involvement. Right. So his ability to enroll the Muslim world in these peace negotiations is like a huge deal. Like the Cambodia-Thailand thing, I think Cambodia is the Islamic country there. Oh. Right. So anyways, really fascinating what he's been able to do. And one of the things that goes underreported, remember, my minor is international studies, right? So, I've been watching this stuff for 20 years. The world has leaned on the United States to be the policeman. It really, really, truly. This is the world order, right? We are the ones who protect the high seas. We protect the trade routes. We enforce contracts. 90% of the world's transactions have been settled in dollars, right? Which means our IRS and our SEC and FCC and all the different regulatory bodies are involved in that and regulating that, right? I mean, the best thing about the United States is the contract gets enforced. Okay. So that has been in peril the last 15 years, right? That is the world order that, as the Obama and company wanted to morph and shift that. I mean, we moved away from the corruptocrats, the Clintons, who saw a well-oiled machine that they could grift off of, you know, they had a little extra horsepower. You could divert some of that energy to your pet projects or whatever. We moved into an ideological world where they're going, and I'll be frank, in my opinion, a world of people, world leaders who realize money's not real. So the corruption thing is irrelevant. Power is what matters. Does that make sense? Power makes the money in this world. And that gang was trying to morph the world, and that put everything in peril. All these oddball countries like Thailand, Cambodia no longer have a place to settle contracts, which then spills out into the streets, right? And this, the macro reflects into the micro and vice versa. Right. The macro becomes a mirror of what's happening at the small scale. And the same thing can happen in reverse. That's actually what Marx was trying to say, was that you could affect the micro from a macro perspective. You know, they spent world leaders for hundreds of years kept trying to figure out how to manage their people. Right. And it was Marx was one of the first ones that was like, hey, you know, if you tweak the economy, you can actually change a peasant's perspective. Right. Because you can change the pinch points, the fear and the pain, and you can change the pleasure, that kind of stuff. Anyways. Long story there. Pretty interesting. So settling all those deals is phenomenal. Now, again, the macro, the micro, does Trump get credit for fixing these macro problems, for putting bad guys away? Does he get credit for knocking Iran off the board as far as a serious influencer? Does he get credit for cutting foreign funding to terrorist groups? Does he get credit for you know, taking the bad guys off the streets? Basically.
We'll give him the credit.
Oh, we'll give him the credit. But there's people who won't. So here, macro mirroring into the micro. Here's a situation where the feds picked up a criminal, a guy who's a fugitive. He's wanted for drugs and other kind of stuff, and he got arrested. And when he got arrested, people who were aware of the situation were kind of cheering and happy. But then the critics walked in. Listen to this.
And right here is the fugitive. They caught him. They got him underneath arrest. They had the girl with him underneath arrest. She's getting detained. They're running a field interview with her. And this right here is a wanted fugitive that's being taken off the streets of Washington, D.C. We found a gun underneath the tree trunk, and he's also been known for selling drugs here. So, I mean, just like that, you guys just got a fugitive off the streets.
Absolutely.
And you think this guy would have been?
And we've been looking for this guy for about 2 days.
As they arrested a wanted fugitive who sells drugs and also was possessing a gun illegally, a group of protesters began to form.
Do we feel good about ourselves? Yeah, we feel great, actually. Why do you think it's pathetic? They just arrested a guy who had a gun underneath the tree trunk. Why is it pathetic?
Because it's pathetic.
That they found a guy who had a gun underneath the tree
When
trunk.
pathetic, you're okay. You can justify anything. You backfill your beliefs constantly. You're targeting all the
Take your
unhealthy.
mask off,
Get the fucking
asshole.
episode.
You get out of my face. You're going to act like that. How's it going? They just found a man who was selling drugs. My name's Nick Shirley, actually. You could go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. But anyways, they found a man who had a gun underneath a tree trunk, known for selling drugs. He's a fugitive, and you're mad. You're mad. How are you mad that they found a fugitive on the streets of Washington, D.C.?
Don't worry about me.
How are you mad?
U.S. Marshals, how are you?
Are you U.S. Marshals? Yeah. You're not faking it?
Sir?
You're not faking it like a lot of the other folks around here? You're not faking the U.S. Marshal shit?
There.
Name, badge number?
Mike Sanders.
What's your name? Why don't you pull down your mask?
We're done talking.
Why don't you pull down your mask?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So Trump goes and gets peace. You can take a bad guy off the streets. I can't believe you're doing it this way. You're not even following due process. You didn't even work through 19 layers of functionaries and diplomats. How are they supposed to get paid if you're just making world peace?
I wonder what that guy wanted to have happen.
Who knows? It's TDS. It's TDS, right? It's like not being able to see things clearly. Now, in fairness, some people are going a little too far and they're taking advantage of this situation. Pony Boy, you might laugh at this one. Ron, you're going to have a good chuckle. And the reality is,
you gonna get me in trouble?
we're all going to be in trouble after this one.
2 weeks ago, I made an anonymous tip to an ICE office about a restaurant I had applied to that rejected my application. 3 days later, there was a raid on that restaurant and 12 of their employees were deported. I did this because I really wanted to work at that restaurant, but they were full staff. So I figured what better way to like get an opening in than to have their staff deported.
What?
So that's what I did. When I reapplied, I got hired, and I've been working there a few days, but now I'm worried that they're going to find out that I was the one who called and had half of the staff deported. For anyone who's been in a similar situation, was there some way you were able to soften the blow ahead of time, kind of like get them used to the idea that maybe like an employee here got everyone deported? Who knows? I'm just seeking advice because I do like a lot of my coworkers, and I don't want them to hate me or think I'm a bad person.
So the ones that you didn't get deported. What?
So I called ICE one time. I've told this story before, right? I called ICE on someone. It's so funny. I hope that's a skit and it's fake, but it was pretty funny.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Pony Boy says, heard y'all are hiring. Construction's wide open. You just have to make a phone call to a government agency first and then fill in your application. Timing's everything for success. Oh, that was pretty funny. All right, Karine Jean-Pierre, she wrote this book, in which, by the way, Ron, dude, she's crossed over 25,000 book sales. So
wow,
made it big. Now Bernie, he released his book. He's at 4,000 book sales. So now the thing
between the two of them,
there are certain key points we need to like calculate in this that matter. Why are they selling so few books?
Well, I can tell you.
Tell me, Ron.
Because USAID doesn't exist anymore.
That's an interesting thought. Or maybe I went to a big GOP dinner on Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Huge dinner. We had Jason Chaffetz, former congressman, TV host from Chaffetz in the House. He came and spoke in Bellevue. So I went to that, and the Washington State GOP, or the national chair from Washington for the RNC. So he was speaking, and he said that he goes 86 to 12. 86 to 12, 86 million to 12 million. Our bank account versus their bank account, right? Republicans right now, the Republican National Committee, early on, has $86 million cash on hand. Democrats have 12 million cash on hand. That's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty big deal.
What's going on there?
Interesting. Why can't you sell any books? Why can't I thought these guys were like crossing the 100,000, 200,000.
Well, they were raising a lot of money when they could just print it themselves.
It's interesting. I mean, it is interesting to see that. So anyways, Karine Jean-Pierre has been making the book tour, right? Now, in the book tour, she's trying to play this whole, hey, I left the Democrat Party and Joe Biden was completely sane, but, he fell apart in like the last week. She's trying to play this, and she got called on the carpet on MSNBC. Buffering. Give us a second here.
Every time I see her without frizzy hair, I'm like, is that really her?
I know, right? I'm like, why didn't you not have this hair when you were in office? It's so much better.
You were talking about the difference in being at the podium and then now in your personal capacity. The special counsel, Robert Hur, when his report came out about President Biden and the classified documents, you stood from the White House podium, February 2024, and you said that his commentary was gratuitous, that it was unacceptable, and it didn't live in reality. And clearly the American public saw another side of Joe Biden's mental acuity during the summer's debate. Robert Hur was unemployable for a period because of the attacks from the Democrats and from the White House that you were at the podium leading. Have you apologized to Robert Hur?
I mean, look, what I can say to you is I saw the president every single day. It wasn't one-offs. It wasn't once in a while. I saw him every day. He is someone that was sharp.
Have you gone back to someone you had pretty sharp comments about, and we all saw a different reality in your personal capacity?
What I'm saying is my reality was this. My reality was somebody that I saw every single day who was sharp, who pushed his team, was understanding very clearly of the policy of history. That is what I saw. I could only speak for what I saw on a daily basis for 2.5 years, almost 4 years, actually. And I was White House press secretary, obviously, for 2.5 years. And that is the president that I know. someone who woke up every day and was very zeroed in and focused on how to deliver for the American people. And that's what I'm speaking to, is what I saw every day.
Robot, maybe?
And look, there's not many people who can say, oh, you know, they saw that. They saw somebody every day like the president of the United States and was able to speak for him. I'm able to do that. I was his White House press secretary. I was called into the Oval Office on a daily basis. I traveled with him for 95% of the time. And so I'm speaking for myself here. I'm speaking for what I saw. And that was why I pushed back. That was why I pushed back.
You were talking about the difference in being at the
She really interacted with a cogent, excited, running circles around his staff, Joe Biden. Do you think she's lying? Like just blatantly lying, like overtly cover up mode? Or is this trying to self-salvage here? Like, what's going on? What are we looking at? Let's judge. Let's pull out our judgment hat here. Is she lying through her teeth, or was Biden, did he really have good days? Were most days good days?
This could be a pretty short conversation. She was lying out of her ass.
That's what I think.
That's what I'm saying.
I think she knew about the auto pin.
Oh, yeah.
I think she was dealing with auto pin decision makers. And I think what like Ted Kennedy and others say is it rotated. It was Ron Klein. It was Hunter Biden one day. It was Jill another. And, you know, I'm sure Joe was. You know,
the whole time she's talking, that chick that answered the question was like, go ahead, just keep going. And the whole time I'm going, yeah, keep going. You're on a house of lies. Yeah, keep going and build that house of lies. Yeah. I was thinking of like an elf reference. Sorry, it didn't come out right.
Yeah. So Ruth Frederick, a new commenter, I don't recognize your name. Welcome on YouTube, says not her. Eyes different, makeup though. Makeup too. Yeah, very different.
It's not her.
It's kind of interesting.
Oh, well, it sounded like her.
I think it's her. I don't know. I mean, we do live in a world of who knows what, right? Ruth, we'd love to have you over on Rumble. By the way, if you're listening on Rumble, we do need one more comment to settle out this month. So it took me all the way to the 27th to pimp for comments. We're
counting on you, Ruth.
For our one more comment in the Rumble platform. So let's see. Pony Boy, you already said y'all hiring. Pray the Rosary Daily. Is this guy for real? I don't know if he's for real or not, but it wouldn't surprise me for 1 second. It's completely something somebody would do. Yeah. And then Pray the Rosary Daily says delusional KGP. Yeah, no kidding. Now, Scott Adams brought this to my attention. He talked about on White House, I think it's WhiteHouse.gov. If you go to, WhiteHouse.gov, if you go to that website, you know, it's got some just links and updates and posts. You know, it's who goes to WhiteHouse.gov, right? It's like tourists do. Okay. So there's a spot in there where you can go and look at the history of the White House. Now, Donald Trump and this administration has been rubbing in the face of historical politicians their hypocrisy, right? Denying Dick and Vietnam. You know, Donald Trump famously, after his Access Hollywood tape was leaked, the very next day at the debate, who does he bring? 4 of the women who have criminally accused Bill Clinton of raping them, and Hillary, have you apologized to these women? You know, just like, holy cow. He's been, you know, he was one of the people who was kind of spouting out the Obama doesn't have a birth certificate stuff. So, and then famously, just in the last couple of weeks in the hallway in the White House, where you have pictures of all the presidents, when it got to Joe Biden, they had the auto pin. Okay. This is official in the White House. Like tourists walk through this hallway and there's no Joe Biden. There's an auto pin. So there's a deep level of vindictiveness, which is not unusual. Like, I think it was Bill Clinton took all the W's off all the keyboards in the White House before he left. Have you not heard this? Oh, I'm dead serious.
That sounds like a college prank or something.
They do a little bit of this, right? So they leave the nice note in the drawer, but then they go around and they're assholes to each other. So this is WhiteHouse.gov. Now, Donald Trump and his administration is bringing us all in on the joke that we've been led by fools when it comes to the other side of the party.
Last night, I was looking at the White House renovations on the WhiteHouse.gov website, and I found this major events timeline. Stick with me on this. I promise it gets really interesting. I didn't know any of this, like when different parts of the White House were built. So I thought this is a really cool timeline where they're talking about all of the different things. The North Portico, that was in Andrew Jackson. The West Wing wasn't until 1902. The Oval Office in 1909. Didn't know any of this. The Rose Garden had been there since 1913. Addition of the East Wing. So, I mean, pretty interesting information, but, wham, the Bill Clinton scandal. What? Boom. Like, what does this have to do
Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah. Okay, good. So we're back on track. No,
Whoa!
we're not back on track.
Cocaine discovered in the White House.
Something to do with the White House timeline. I'm just gonna over that.
Trans-day visibility.
Okay. Now we're back to the flagpoles. All right. So back on track. The Rose Garden renovations really just cemented over that. The Oval Office renovations. What is this doing on the actual WhiteHouse.gov website? What is happening? How did those get there?
So it has 1998, the Lewinsky scandal in the White House. It has cocaine found in the White House. It has the Muslim Brotherhood trip to the White House. And the Trans Day of Visibility with the topless people running around the White House grounds. Oh, my goodness. War Drummer, welcome.
Yeah, that's Ruth.
Ruth, welcome.
She did it. She just went on over and made a comment.
Goodness. Ruth, we love you so much. Welcome. Everybody say hi to Ruth, especially someone new that needs to comment this month. Actually, Ruth, you're it. War Drummer, we made it. We got our 20.
Yeah.
Woo, welcome. Welcome to the peasants. All right. So this right here, coming from Wall Street Apes, it's a fascinating report on SNAP benefits. Now, SNAP is, just welfare, right? I mean, it used to be food stamps.
Welfare's been around.
EBT, SNAP, it's all kind of part of this.
WIC.
There's WIC, I think there's CHIP. No, that has to do with medical care for kids. Anyways, point is, all these acronyms.
Yeah.
Point is, it's all social safety net programs, all welfare. We can argue all day long about the validity about these programs. My family has been benefited and blessed by these programs way back when I was in college having my first kids. I'm not an unsupporter of this by any means. I think
me neither. We actually benefited from the WIC program early on.
Absolutely. I think that this eliminates food insecurity for people who are trying to make it. Yep. I think it's a tragedy when people get hooked on it and dependent on it.
But those are programs that you have to be working and trying to really take advantage of them.
Yeah.
They're not just sit on your ass and collect free stuff.
Well, we like to think that. We like to think that.
Well, that's the way that's the way it was in my life.
I know, but the problem is anecdotally, it doesn't always prove out to be that way, right? Like that, it becomes really tricky. Well, local news ran a little report on this. Oh, buffering. Love it. Love it when it buffers.
This is local. Where's this at?
This is CBS reporting.
Okay.
CBS, a paragon of truth telling.
Trump administration says it will not use emergency funds to pay for federal food benefits with a fast approaching deadline. CBS's Christina Fan is in New York with details on that. Christina.
Well, Jericho, 1 in 8 Americans rely on SNAP benefits, and tonight there is mounting worry for them. They might not be able to afford food with money running out 1 week from today.
I think people are starting to panic.
Food banks around the country are flashing warning signs.
We've been having about 7 to 10 new people a day this week.
Look at that. That was full this morning.
The pantry at Calvary Episcopal Church in Kentucky ran out of food for the first time in its 43-year history.
I thought that was her refrigerator.
Members of the California National Guard are now deployed to help food banks in the state. In Massachusetts, 16% of residents rely on SNAP benefits, which provide an average of $187 a month, or about $6 a day. Democratic Governor Maura Healey holds President Trump responsible.
Leadership is a choice. And sadly, President Trump has chosen to take away food from people all around this country.
Aboard Air Force One, President Trump told reporters he's not to blame.
Well, I'm going to let some other people talk to you. I'll have a comment on that later, but the Democrats are stopping it.
The sudden loss in federal food aid will ripple beyond homes into stores and businesses. Every dollar in SNAP benefits generates $1.54 in economic activity.
Quite a bit of our sales come from EBT recipients. Right now, it's making up about 10 to 15% of our total sales a month.
And Democrats say they will not vote to reopen the government unless there is an extension of health care subsidies for millions of Americans, while Republicans say they want the government to reopen first before any negotiating.
I feel like when they say millions of Americans, they should just say millions of South Americans.
What?
You know, Dad, when I was in Brazil, I'd say something like, you know, soy americano, and they'd be like, yo soy también, soy americano de sul, you know, and it'd be like,
translate. I have no idea.
So I'd be like, I'm American. They'd be like, so am I. I'm South American. You're just, you know, American North. You're Norte American, you know,
I see.
Nordesh, Norte. So it was like, you know, you're just North American. So when they say, you know, well, millions of Americans won't get health benefits, like, just be straight with us. Just say millions of South Americans won't get health benefits. You know, that's the bulk of what we're talking about here.
I see what you're saying.
Oh my gosh. I have no problem with an American participating in the social safety.
So some of the numbers that she was popping on there were shocking to me. I mean, she was talking about 8%, or what was the percentage? It was a huge percentage.
Like 8%, and then there's like 16%.
No. She said 1 in 8 Americans rely on SNAP benefits, and I was like, that's like 40 million people. Is that real?
Yeah, and here's the thing: it's when you break it down by demographics, it's devastating. Okay, so
because like I knew SNAP was a program, but it's not rolling off the tip of my tongue. How many are there? Really 40 million people on SNAP?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
It's a huge thing, and again, it comes in clusters. The immigrant community, the non-native born people who are here of all stripes, legal and illegal, 47% of them are on this program. So 47% of people who came here and were not born here, regardless of status, legal or illegal. Okay. Clearly, there's probably a mix of both. If you're legal, you're probably for sure on this stuff, right? Because it's easy. 47% of them are on this program. That's half.
Okay. Our economy is not healthy.
No, not at all.
This is ridiculous.
You've got a major state like Pennsylvania who openly is saying the number one employer is the federal government and the number two employer is the state government. You have a communist state.
This is horrible. We're in trouble.
When politicians view government agencies as job programs, you've lost the plot. We're now in Animal Farm. That's all it is. We're letting the pigs tell us how to work. That's all it is. You know what I mean? Like, it is, yes, it is a dangerous place. This is why we, the peasants, are like, we're tied to the land. We have to live here no matter what these people are doing, which is why what? We got to figure out how to navigate through this. Do you really want to be in a situation where Chuck Schumer determines whether or not you have grocery money this month or next? Right?
No.
There's affirmative choices you have to make now to avoid this situation again in the future, both on a micro level for your own kitchen table and on the macro level for our whole nation.
Yes, I would agree with all that.
And it doesn't help. One of the things that we constantly have to be aware of is we get fed bad information by the media. Okay.
Surprise.
Yes. No, go figure. And even some of our heroes or some of the people that are often lauded or have quote unquote credibility in our ecosystem, the conservative ecosystem, so to speak, right? Thus has been assigned to us. Not that we called ourselves conservatives, right? But this is Sean Hannity, who anybody who's kind of like in this space, I mean, Sean Hannity, great guy. Everybody who's worked with him thinks he's awesome. He does favors for people, blah, 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 right? He's like a perfect media politician. But the guy's a propagandist. Can we just be straight, right? Honestly. And sometimes I wonder if you ever like confronted him about it, if he'd be like, you know, like, well, duh, you know, you don't stay on TV and have a #1 show as long as I do unless you read the teleprompter from time to time. Right. And I'm not even saying his heart's in the wrong place. Like, he got invited to go golf with Donald Trump the day that Ryan Ruth nearly assassinated him. Right. So it's not like Sean Hannity's not on the inside circle. But this was him a couple of years ago talking about this grand conspiracy, Russia collusion thing. And this is the point I want to make as I play this. A lot of people inside the mainstream, both Republican and Democrat Party, they get hung up on talking points for long periods of time. And both parties will do this. They'll concede a poison pill premise.
Yep.
Okay. So what I'm going to play you right here is Sean Hannity in his little monologue about this Russia gate and Ukraine gate and persecution of Trump. He's on Trump's side, but he concedes a premise that then gives cover to the FBI and other agencies for having had a lawfully predicated investigation into Trump. It's this idea that Russia did, in fact, collude in the 2020 or conspire in the 2020 election for Trump, regardless of Trump's awareness. That's the premise that's being conceded here. right? Poison pill. This is something that the Republicans and Democrats will do to their constituents. They concede some poison pill premise. This is what the GOP did to Trump. The GOP, by conceding this premise alone, made this narrative continue for dang near a decade.
Saying conservatives believe that Ukraine was responsible for election interference in 2016 and not Russia. It's a conspiracy theory. No, I've never said that. We pointed out many times on this program, Russia is a hostile regime led by a hostile actor, Vladimir Putin, who we're not going to have more flexibility with ever. I have zero doubt they meddled in the 2016 elections. I'm certain they did.
Okay, so he just goes on to bloviate more about that. But then he gets on with, that was 2017. Okay, no doubt they did it. That is why people like me are like, turn off Fox News, right? I have not turned on Fox News except for when I was in prison because I had no other choices, right? I have not turned on Fox News in my household since November, was it the election day of 2020, right? When Brett Baer and those guys called the election for Trump, when Trump was ahead in Arizona and 1% has been reported. They're like, we project Trump will win Arizona. It's like, what? Click. I've never turned it on since, right? It's because of stuff like this. It's continual on this network. So that was Sean Hannity all those years ago. Keep in mind, you can pom-pom for Trump all you want, but the underlying actual problem here was that the premise was wrong. Who greenlit the premise? Okay. It's the greenlighting of the premise that Trump was in bed with Russia. Let's open the investigation. That's the treasonous behavior. If the premise is true, Russia was meddling in the election, then clearly all the rest of the investigations would have been justified. Right now that the truth has kind of been more made known, here's Sean Hannity on with Senator Markwayne Mullins, essentially going the opposite direction.
If you read these declassified documents, and I have read them, it is very clear that they did not make the assessment that there was any interference, Russian interference in that election. The only Russian interference in the 2016 election actually was the Hillary.
Hold on.
This is just my screen.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Clinton bought and paid for a Russian disinformation dossier, which we know was completely debunked. They knew it was debunked before they ever used it as the basis of not one, but 4 FISA warrants. And then, of course, they had the meeting in the White House only weeks before Obama left office. And then minutes before Donald Trump was sworn in, then it was the Susan Rice CYA memo. Barack Obama said, do everything by the book about a meeting weeks ago. James Comey said, do everything by the book weeks ago. So there's a lot here. They all lied. And I'm proud that this show and our ensemble cast of wonderful people, Solomon, Greg Jarrett, Sarah Carter, and others, we got it right. The rest of the media went along with the lies, the hoax, the conspiracy theories.
Did they?
Conservatives.
Did they? Moment of truth, Ron. Did they get it right? The internet lives forever. We've been wrong. I mean, if some conspiring person wanted to go find a bunch of clips, yeah, I've said some stupid stuff. I'm positive, right? Hello. But that did
I recall that you said this many times. Often wrong, but never in doubt.
Often wrong, but never in doubt. Yes, Sean Hannity could have that too. But, buddy, you're wrong every day, but you got no doubts. It is fascinating, right? Yeah. Oh, we didn't go along with the rest of the media did. That was the poison pill. And what Charlie Kirk recognized, and when he was interviewing with John Solomon, was these little things that happen on our big mainstream medias. We're talking legacy media, and now it's trickling down into independent media too. Lots of influencers, podcasters are now paid by big dollar donors. Before the election last year, they were kind of setting up another one of these Russia meddling setups with the FBI. Bongino called it out and others. But legitimately what was happening was there was a Russian group that was paying podcasters. And it wrapped in a couple conservative darlings. You know, they got paid a few $100,000.
Did our last check clear?
Huh?
Did our last check clear that we got?
What check? Yeah, exactly. What check? So anyways, point is, right, it's seeping in everywhere. But it's a top-down thing. John Solomon revealed that a long-time intelligence agents basically said, yeah, no, they learned how to do this stuff overseas to influence elections, to influence governments, and they turned around and weaponized it
an
here.
Insurrection. This is an insurrection against the American people. that was thwarted at multiple times.
I sat across from an intelligence agent, now retired, very senior. He looked me in the eye and said, the truth of the matter is we took the playbook for psychological operations and information warfare that we would use against our enemies, and we turned it against the American people to undo the 2016 election and to make sure they didn't elect Donald Trump in 2020. Now, that is a senior intelligence officer with more than 30 years of experience, a patriot who served in some of the most dangerous parts of the world. And he understood that the tactics of making something fake look real were ripped right out of our intelligence communities. Our intelligence agencies not only harmed Donald Trump, they were harming the American public, the national security interests of the American public.
An insurrection.
Yeah, right. As someone who walked away from the Capitol on J6 being, I feel like we walked in a bear trap. That was the bear trap. It was the, big, smart, intelligent trap. Now, anytime an intelligence agency wants to change something or move something, they always have another action plan. This is like 101 spycraft, right? And so what's the action plan? When you create a vacuum for power, you want to have something big enough to fill that vacuum. Go study the Russian Revolution and how the Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks and all the different groups formed coalitions against the imperial government. And then as the imperial government had signs of collapsing, it became a Game of Thrones amongst these coalitions of people that were vying for power. One of these coalitions of people that is part of this leftist resistance, this overthrowing of the constitutional order, an extension of, I'm not 100% sure, corruptocracy, pushing a larger ideology of collectivism, or more nefariously, even pushing the ideology of Islam, right? What's happening here? This has been weaponized against us. Well, right now in New York, we are in a situation where I believe Mandami just won his primary and he's going to head on and probably win the general election. He's an open socialist, which is just communism that you vote into instead of go into by the bullet, right? Communism, it's the same thing. They know it and they say it, right? Where did this come from? Is this just out of nowhere? No, this has been a long time organized effort. This is Robert Akella, citywide canvas director for Zorhan from New York City. They've been working on this campaign for a long time.
It's not like this just came out of nowhere. Not at all. This has been a coordinated, organizing effort for since 2014. It's not like this.
And I don't remember if we showed it on the show, but you can show their executive council for DSA who put this together. They're young. They're in their 30s, right? This has been their, hey, we all graduated from some college, Ivy League college up here in the North or New York, NYU, whatever it was. And here we are. This is our coffee shop. Right. This is where the Russian Revolution, a bunch of college kids completely dissatisfied with whatever. You got one guy who's preaching anarchy because he spent a couple of years in jail because he spoke out against the Tsar. And you've got, you've got Karl Marx, who's like the godfather of, he's out of Germany. He doesn't hardly participate in anything in Russia, but he's inspiring all these kids. He's the Bernie Sanders of the bunch. Literally, Karl Marx is like the Bernie Sanders to the Trotskys, AOC, and Lenin, Hakeem Jeffries. You know what I mean? Now, we're making parallels where there may or may not be parallels. We don't really love the Nazi parallels either, right? But the point is they are the inheritors of that ideology. This was at Mandami's big rally, and this is where Hakeem Jeffries endorsed him. This is AOC talking, and she uses that word, that telltale word that tells us 100% you're not about the American ideology, you're about a different one. Ron, tell me if you can spot the word.
Thank you all for being in this movement with me. It is now my deep honor to introduce my colleague and comrade, Assembly Member Clara Valdez.
Clapping. By the way, on screen, there's a huge crowd of people. Stay
It's right on the nose. Come on.
DSA, because I saw power in our movement. I saw organizers like Julia Salazar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez take on political dynasties and big money and win. And I want to be part of it. And I wasn't alone. I'm standing here with so many of our electeds.
So they have a huge movement going on.
These things kind of feel like cosplay.
When you study the Russian Revolution, it was cosplay. That was the thing about it. It was cosplay, which is why when the real problems showed up, like how to feed people, well, how about you kill the hungry ones, was on the table.
Oh, okay.
Because it was cosplay. They didn't have real solutions. Jordan Peterson talks about this, make your bed. How dare you think that you can comprehend, as if there was one man who could hold the intricacies of the entire economy within their mind, and you can't make your bed, right? Like clean up your own act first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the idea that you're going to somehow be able to, from top down, direct the entire economy when you don't understand the intricacies of it. This is where that whole phrase, for what is it? I remember it was like, for want of a nail, we lost the kingdom. For want of a horseshoe, for want of a nail, for want of a blacksmith. And, we lost the kingdom. Why? Because we didn't have a chicken sandwich today. It's like the simplest things. It's the butterfly effect in the economy. So when the Bolsheviks end up taking over Russia, they got a master plan. And then when things don't work out, it's like, we'll just eliminate the problems, right? Because we can just, clearly, if people would just get on board, you know what I'm saying? And Trotsky, he was universal. Well, communism will never actually work till it's everybody. Okay. And by the way, we're dealing with Trotskyites right now.
But these people over here, it's not working for them. Just go and kill them.
We haven't thought that through. Yeah, exactly.
Then it will be everybody.
It's no different than when Jon Stewart talks to Bernie Sanders. He's like, hey, we want a social safety net. We want to, but maybe ones where they're not on it for life, or maybe we should put a ceiling on things, or maybe we should say, yeah, only for legals. And Bernie Sanders is like, rich countries should be able to pay for everything, everybody. Well, what happens when 51% of the population is on the take and 49% have to pay? Then we'll kill somebody.
Well,
the payers or the takers. Who are you going to kill, Bernie? At some point you have to make a decision, right? That's the problem with your mentality, is someone's on the take, someone's on the give, and eventually someone's got to go.
So here's the most reasonable place to draw the line. If you're on Snap,
are you more valuable on Snap or more valuable as a payer?
Right.
No. Carrots and sticks. You're a politician. Politics is about power. Forget goodwill. Forget wanting to help people. This is not, the beauty pageant contest.
Oh, I was trying to make a really bad joke. I'm going to It was, if you're on Snap, you just get in the death line.
Maybe. Here's my justification why we don't know what their justification will be. If you're about power, okay, you're a politician. Politics is about power.
Okay.
Right? And you want to maintain power. Which constituency are you more likely to maintain power with?
I see.
The ones that are relying on you to feed them?
I see.
Or the ones that can feed themselves? When one vote is one vote, as long as you can feed the people, you can keep the power. This is where Marie Antoinette went wrong. Hey, your constituents are hungry. Well, let them eat cake. Let's just tax more of the rich. Let's take some of the cake off the buffet. There's enough to go around. Is there? Is there enough cake for everyone? Marie Antoinette. Okay. Now, Zoran Mondani in New York, and I've largely ignored this story because I don't give a crap about New York. Okay. I've been there one time. I rushed through it in 3 hours, and I saw
the only problem is that same political thing that's happening there is coming to a town near you.
It's probably already in a town.
It's happening in Seattle right now. Did you know that?
Oh yeah. No. Of course I know that. Okay.
Did you know that John is endorsing the socialist guy or chick?
John Curley?
No, yeah, John Curley.
Why?
Because he's like, it's time that we go full retard and just see what this is all about.
Oh, why not? I mean, that's why Michael Malice endorsed Fetterman, and turned out it was the best endorsement he ever made. He was trying to break the system. He might save it.
So John's idea was, I'm just tired of talking about the socialism endlessly for decades about how socialism is going to work. He's like, let's just do it. Let's do it and find out.
Let's find out. Ugh,
now, that seems like a bad idea.
This was Mandami's closing pitch last night, right? And he basically was like, listen, if you don't vote for me, there's only one reason you wouldn't vote for me. You're an Islamophobe.
Cuomo laugh and agree when a radio show host said that I would cheer another 9/11. When I listened to the current mayor of this city explaining his decision to endorse Andrew Cuomo as a decision to ensure that New York City does not become Europe, that we do not leave it to violent extremists who burn churches in Nigeria. when I listen to all of this and then turn on TV and see ads that have the words of terrorism and jihad on top of my face that not only mock the way that I eat, but are all intended to terrify New Yorkers as to the prospect of having a Muslim mayor, I decided that it was simply too much. It was too much to think of these as the acts of desperate men looking to salvage the little power that.
Okay.
So you're dropping out?
No. His language here.
Yeah,
He's saying, if you don't vote for me, and this is where he's going to finish up, you're Islamophobic. And all of this now has led me to the conclusion on the eve of election, I now know who my real enemy is. I now know what I need to do to those who don't support me. Okay. So he's come all this way, inclusive. And now at this moment, on the eve of election, where it's all about inclusivity, I'll be good for everyone. He's going, you know what? Turns out if you didn't vote for me, you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're an Islamophobe, and you don't have place in New York. Thus enter the pogroms. Now, I'm not saying that is going to happen because this is America and there's checks and balances. And that's one of the crazy, amazing things our founding fathers left us with is this system that kind of has a lot of access points and levers. So do I think there's going to be pogroms in New York in the next 12 months? No, I don't. But
Mondami wouldn't shed a tear.
There's a directional element here. Listening to what was going on during Patriot Act and stuff like that, there was a directional element that could lead anybody looking back in hindsight, if we'd have been aware, we could easily see that those tools would be weaponized against us, right? Like any tool we give the government. So here we are listening to Mondami. This is directionally where that movement wants to go. It's not a this year problem. It's a decade or two from now problem, right? The issue with communism was a joke to my parents. Oh, that person's a communist. Worst thing you could call somebody. Now it's kind of like you're campaigning on it again. We've had 100 years that you couldn't be openly communist or socialist in the system.
And there's a good reason.
And there was a good reason. Well, now that reason's been forgotten. So let's listen to him now. Again, he's saying, after all that negativity and making fun of me, if you don't vote for me, I now know who you are.
They still had. It was, in fact, a reflection of Islamophobia within our political system that has become so endemic that when we hear it, we do not know from which party it comes. We just know that it is a fact of life in our city's politics. And amidst all of this, the focus of so many is just how much bigotry they can engage in.
Yeah. So
who's they?
Who voted against me? That's pretty much it. It's again, I put MAGA in a box of deplorables. Now, one of the things we've been focusing on, and I'm starting to kind of change my paradigm a little bit. Maybe we've been too focused on the two parties, right? If you were a Republican, and I know these people because I go to our GOP meetings, they don't really know what MAGA is. They don't really get it. They're like, so we're like the red team, and why aren't you just on board with red? It's because, well, MAGA's values-based, right? MAGA brought a coalition of people together, everything from suburban moms who want better health outcomes to, anti-war. I considered myself on the left. I considered myself a liberal, right? I'm a political science I fit all the boxes to be like a Democrat male voter into his, blue dog Democrat. I like the, pro-unions and pro-wage. Okay, I could have easily fit into that box, but MAGA brought me over. Why? Because the Democrats are representing nothing, but neither were the Republicans. The Republicans lost me long ago, right, with the endless wars. So MAGA is like a new thing, okay? The traditional Republicans, it's like always low taxes, always pro-life, and always be nicer than the enemy, right? Always take it on the chin kind of thing. Right. This lived Christianity or whatever, always turning the other cheek to the Democrats. The Democrat Party is its own thing too. And I think sometimes we're looking at the Democrat Party, this Clinton party, this Biden party, and we're forgetting that they have their own MAGA. It's the Democrat Socialists of America. It's this AOC movement, which is very similar to our Marjorie Taylor Greene movement. Does that make sense? So when I listen to this next little video here, and they're talking about the Democrat Party being out there in the wilderness, I'm like, yeah, so was the Republican Party, which almost doesn't exist without MAGA now, right? No MAGA, no energy in the Republican Party. No Democrat Socialists of America, no energy in the Democrat Party. And that's what these guys are pointing out. The Democrat Party looks like it's dead, but the Democrat Party, through the Democrat Socialists of America, have just won, or on the cusp of winning, a mayor's race in America's most important
terrible shape. Like we just have to be very honest with ourselves. The Democratic Party is in really, really bad shape. The fact that our approval rating is, depending on the poll you believe, somewhere in the 20s or the teens, while Donald Trump is busy kind of vandalizing the government, that ain't good. And I think there's many reasons for that, which we can discuss, but we have not begun to address those problems. I do think we will not be able to fully address them until we have a leader, and that won't be for like 3 years when we nominate somebody for president, because parties ultimately are defined by their leaders and defined by them almost entirely. I mean, you can think about what Republicans did after 2012. As you know, they did big retrospective, the autopsy. They're like, we need to be nicer to immigrants, and then they nominate Trump and they go the opposite direction. So the nominees and the presidents make the party brand. And for the next few years, we won't have that. So it's going to be a tough couple of years deep in the wilderness for us. And I think there are some things we can do to set the table for the nominee. But right now, I don't feel like we're doing it.
So who's going to be the nominee? The Democrats are now in their Game of Thrones phase. So you've got grassroots activism, which is what MAGA was, right? It was the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, the grassroots involvement, the coalition of loggers and miners and waiters and the forgotten man or women, the unemployed factory worker, right? Well, the Democrats are now out in their wilderness, but who's got the energy? What are they going to have to tap into? They're going to have to tap into that populist, socialist, fix things, but we have TDS syndrome group, right? It's going to be really interesting. Gavin Newsom is making a huge play for it. Now, Gavin Newsom is kind of in upset mode right now because Donald Trump has said that they're going to send election monitors to monitor upcoming elections, right? And that's making certain people really nervous here. So this is Gavin Newsom nervously projecting his fear of the upcoming election.
These guys aren't fucking around. They're not fucking around. These guys are surgical. And so we have to get our shit together. Problem with the Democratic Party, weakness. Trump is weakness masquerading as strength. Democrats, weakness. And that fundamentally has to be addressed. We can get into the issues. We're dominant in terms of the vast majority of issues. The American people are with Democrats. Not all of them, but the vast majority. But at the end of the day, that's the issue we have to address. Bill Clinton said it better than anybody else. Given the choice, the American people will always support strong and wrong versus weak and right. But what I'm trying to do is not...
So, hold on.
Hold on. This is our plan.
First of all, that's kind of like Hillary Clinton and her basket of deplorables. Apparently, Bill Clinton didn't think too highly of us either. Oh, they just follow the strong man. They just need a con man, a confidence man to come in here and lead them along. I mean, just tell them it'll be okay.
Especially if he's wrong.
All right. So first of all, Bill Clinton doesn't think much of you, right? Now, you're making this your entire campaign thing. So you're Mr. Tough, I'm going to swear. These people are surgical, which I hope they are. Rose Bolt is being very surgical about this, right?
You got to get the anger quiver. You got to be.
So they're just weak, but I'm not. Isn't this hilarious? This is awesome, man.
Well, I like the part where they're saying the part out loud where they're wrong. All you got to be is strong and wrong, and then you'll be okay.
So we're going to roll with wrong, but we're going to start being strong. I know, exactly, right? It's like, wait, hold on.
Just express strength in terms of communication, but to demonstrate it in terms of the work we're doing on the ground and using our moral authority and our formal authority. That's what Proposition 50 is all about, man. Organizing people to feel empowered, to give them a voice, to give us choice, and to be able to push back against this son of a bitch.
Gavin's potty mouth. Trump even addressed this, right? He's like, listen, I drop an F-bomb from time to time. And this is what Scott Adams says. Like, hey, when you're like trying to use it, it's theater, it's annoying. When it's every now and then, it's okay. My dad tunes out Gavin Newsom. He's never going to vote for you if you drop that many F-bombs, okay? He ain't down for it. Now, Bill Clinton's theory of the case was people will vote for what's wrong as long as it's coming from someone that's strong. Jasmine Crockett has a little different theory when it comes to black voters. She's like, black voters don't vote in their best interest, and for one reason and one reason only, because black voters are conservative and do support conservative things, but, you know, there's only one thing that keeps them from actually voting conservative. And so the Democrats aren't going to change what they're doing to get, you know, because they think they got that vote. They're not going to change anything because, again, they just want someone that's strong, even if they're wrong. So this is Jasmine Crockett's theory.
I talk to black folk all the time as somebody that's a child of a preacher. Listen, most black people are not Republicans simply because we just is like, y'all racist. I can't hang out with the KKK in them. That's really what it is. But when we think about who we are as black people and we think about where we come from, most black people have very conservative values, right? But the reality is that, like, we just can't side with, like, the neo-Nazis in them. We not dealing with y'all like that, right?
Is this the same logic where you get gays for Palestine? You know what I mean? Hey, we're gays for Hamas. We're blacks for liberals, even though we don't agree with anything and our life values don't line up. But hey, we don't want to hang out with the Klansmen. Weren't the Klansmen Democrats? Say what? You know what I mean? Like, say what? Like, you just don't want to hang out with the Klan. Like, you're voting for Klansmen. Like, like Joe Biden gave the eulogy at Bird's funeral.
Yeah.
You know,
I know,
the
but
grand cyclops of the
when it's
KKK.
your truth, it can be any truth.
Yeah, when your truth can be any truth. You're right. That's just something. Now, Gavin Newsom is warning us about the midterms. Now, it's hard to know because clearly Gavin's on the, hey, I'm going to be the strong man, so I'm going to project confidence. Sure. And maybe that's what this is. You know, you hear some of the polling and we're listening about what's going on with the elections and kind of, you know, we're going to get rid of the machines. We're done with Dominion. Now we're on to liberty.
Oh,
who knows?
Freedom, liberty.
We have no idea. I mean, for all we know, really, truly, Trump could drop that executive order. Liberty could be like, oh, we're so happy to comply. Here's some abacus tabulators, you know what I mean, that do not connect to the electricity at all. You know what I mean? Like, these are punch cards. I don't know where we're going to go, but I know Gavin Newsom is really hoping to be a part of this coalition that takes back the House at midterms, because then they can stop Trump in his tracks.
Co-equal branches of government, system of checks and balances. His presidency de facto ends next November. If we're successful, we the people are successful in taking back the House and making sure that
you
we're
really
successful.
believe, Governor, if the Democrats take back power in the House, his presidency's over?
De facto, as we know it today, fire and fury signifying maybe something. But finally, you have rebalanced this system. Co-equal branch of government begins to assert itself. It appears again. If you have a Speaker Johnson, we may have a third term of President Trump. I really believe that. A co-equal branch.
Can we please? Can we please? So Steve Bannon gave this big speech this week, or it was an interview, and he was like, "We're going to get third term." We played it last week. Maybe we played it on Friday when you weren't here. I can't remember. Okay, but he's like, "We're getting a third term." Well, the amendment says you can't. Yeah, well, you have to read that amendment really carefully, and it's like, do you have a plan? You know, I mean, it like screams out, it's going to be a JD Vance for President Trump ticket, and then JD Vance resigns like 8 minutes into his presidency.
Oh my God.
You know, I mean, it sounds kind of like we could get there. So Jamie Raskin and these guys are just in a panic mode. Now, you have to recognize Donald Trump is a lame duck president, right? So on one hand, he can exercise a lot of power and executive authority because he doesn't have to worry about running or what the popular vote is. So he can be a strong hand at the tiller if he has to be. On the other hand, by floating this idea of Trump 2028 and that it can extend, it puts these guys in a tailspin to where they've got to make all kinds of threats. This is Jamie Raskin.
Come on. No, it is very much within our agenda to restore the rule of law and to try to fight for a justice.
What does that look like?
Well, it means that the Justice Department will not be weaponized the way it's being weaponized. It will not be monetized in the way it's being monetized for the president, and it will not be used to prosecute the political foes of the president. In his view, the Department of Justice will be held to account for following the law and following the Constitution.
Why didn't Democrats?
The Department. You know, when you have, okay, there's always this principle. Sometimes people say something that's so on the nose that when you go read a transcript or you listen to it again, you're like, let's listen to that little end part. Exactly why these people at the DOJ will be held to account. This is again critical. It's like a when you understand what perspective he's speaking from.
Following the law and following the Constitution.
Why didn't Democrats come on?
Will be held to account. Justice will be held to account for following the law and following the Constitution.
Why didn't Democrats come on?
So what do you do to these people that follow the law and the Constitution?
When I got the sentencing memo from the Department of Justice for going to prison, the guidelines, and there, a whole lot of things, but my guidelines after everything was settled out was 70 to 87 months.
Oh, wow.
Shocking. Okay. But that was down from where it would have been had the 1512 been allowed to have enhancements. So that's why I ended up with a firearm enhancement. The bike rack was a firearm. Was that so they could jack up my sentencing on this, on the one charge. The prosecution wanted to have an upward variance. They wanted to depart from the guidelines. So 87 was the max. They wanted to go to 109 months.
Whoa.
Okay. So there's I need to get the sentencing memorandum. I mean, it's on the docket and anybody could go pull it. But there's a paragraph in there where the prosecution describes me growing up in a middle-class nuclear family, that I'm educated, that I don't come from any kind of socioeconomic trouble, like I'm economically stable, and that I have good family support. And then it goes, and we need to have an upward variance to 109 months so that other good people like him don't take courage and also act out. His punishment needs to act as a deterrent to other good people. Right. So other people who might, want to protest a stolen election, or other people might want to speak up, truth to power, or anybody out there who's a Boy Scout, checks all the boxes for like perfect member of society. Yeah, that's not what we want. We really want dependent welfare moms that can't survive a week without their EBT cards. Like if that was the case, we would have let you back out because, your crime was a result of suffering and economic hardship. And you only stole that stuff because you're unemployed, because we shipped your factory overseas. Like then we can be merciful. But you, good man, we gotta go upward variance because we don't want other good people who've kept their nose clean and have no criminal record from, poking their head up. It was stunning. I got to pull the paragraph. Like when you read it, you're just like, wow, they got a lot in one paragraph. It was like they took my entire good life and weaponized it against me. Oh, you're a law student? Oh, take a job with the government. It'll be great, they said. You'll follow the Constitution. You'll take an oath to the Constitution. And when you follow the law, someone like Jamie Raskin will come in and be like, you dumbo, this was about power, not process. You see what I'm saying? If you follow the law and actually listen to the commander-in-chief, the chief law enforcement officer, we're coming after you, right? Because clearly people have been able to be scofflaws from enforcing basic laws as executives. Here's an executive in charge of the city of Chicago, and he gets asked by a reporter about a very recent crime and says, if this had happened to your wife, what would you do? This is the attitude of the current executives all around the country. Nothing to see here, folks.
Well, the real Chicagoans that I talk to, that I communicate with, mostly black and brown, actually, tell me that you don't seem to know the difference between illegal aliens and real Chicago citizens. They feel that you are siding with the illegal aliens over them in their communities. And sadly,
William, let's get to the question.
Let's get to the question. The real question is simply this. I don't know how to make it any more direct. An illegal alien from Nicaragua grabbed a woman on the north side last week, bashed her head into the sidewalk, knocked her unconscious, and raped her. If that had been your wife, Stacey.
Okay, all right, we're not going to answer it. Thank you. Thanks, William. All right.
Would you want ICE to deport her?
Let's move on.
Yes, no.
Let's move on.
Answer the question as a man. Not as a mayor, but as a man. Would you want
thanks.
The challenge with what these politicians are going through is your big macro policies have to make sense on a micro side.
Yeah.
Remember our episode, My Gang's Bigger Than Your Gang. So if my gang is the United States government, because I believe in law and order, so I've employed them to protect me. And all of a sudden, I get smacked by an illegal immigrant who failed at their job. Border Patrol, Coast Guard, United States military, President of the United States, Congress for not passing good immigration law, Border Patrol agents. How many people failed at their jobs to even have that person so far north in our country in Chicago? I mean, you realize that's not like, Eagle Pass. I mean, this is Chicago, all right? It's the windy, cold frickin' city. And it's not their native stomping grounds, okay? So already you're up there. And then all of a sudden you get attacked. Whose side is this big gang called the U.S. government on? The birthright citizens or the illegal immigrants? Whose life are you facilitating? Who's got an EBT card in their pocket? You see what I'm saying? You can't even answer those questions. When it comes to election integrity, you go out to a place like California. I grew up in this county. I lived in Tracy, California. This is the San Joaquin Valley, right? San Joaquin County. This is the sheriff in San Joaquin County basically telling you we have election fraud.
The way the voting system is structured, we see quite a few flaws. You're able to register even and cast a vote if you don't live in the country, as evident of his brother in Pakistan. Jeez. I think we have some evidence of 2 or 3 other people out of the country that voted. Is that correct?
Yeah, approximately 2 or 3 other people out of the country, as well as people residing outside of the district.
Okay. The online voter registration system, it seems to be an honor system. Anybody can put information in there to register to vote. All you have to do is click a box and say that you're not lying, and then you'll get an email from the Secretary of State or something in the mail saying, thank you for registering to vote. And there you are. Once you're on the voter rolls, anytime an election comes around, guess what? You get mailed a ballot, right? You get mailed something to vote. So we found that a little bit problematic. The way the voting system is.
Do we know anybody else that is willing to check boxes illegally?
Yeah, no kidding. Like Lisa Cook, Adam Schiff, go on and on and on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is sheriff of show. It's basically an honor system. And then, by the way, once they register and check the box saying I'm not lying, you're legally prohibited from ever challenging them from lying. Like, didn't they pass a law that say it's illegal to ask anybody about their status or anything like that? Okay, you see the problem here, right?
Yeah.
You see the problem.
I see a problem.
Now, again, good for the goose, good for the gander, right? Depends on who's in power. So Hakeem Jeffries is over here going, hey, they're going to rig this election. And CBS, again, some of these news channels, they're fighting for their life. They're like, hey, you got to offer some like logical pushback. Like the whips, snip, snap back and forth of our political opinions is getting a little too rapid, right? You're going to have some consistency. So here is CBS having a modicum of consistency when asking Hakeem Jeffries about allegations of voter fraud and election rigging.
You said Democrats, there are no election deniers on our side of the aisle. You said that back in January. But recently you've been using the term rigged elections in reference to the upcoming midterms. Democrats were appalled when President Trump used language like that. How do you justify using that now? Doesn't that undermine faith for voters? You need to show up.
No, I've been using that term in the context of Donald Trump's unprecedented effort to gerrymander congressional maps in a partisan fashion all across the country in order to rig the midterm elections and deny the ability of the American people to actually decide who should be in the majority as it relates to the House of Representatives.
Democrats are also going through gerrymandering and redistricting.
No. Well, Democrats are going to push back aggressively to make sure that we have fair maps across the country, not partisan gerrymandering, which Republicans have initiated in state after state after state.
That's what
when we do it, it's in favor of the South American people, which is who we represent. But when they do it, it's in favor of the other American people who we don't care about.
That aren't here yet.
Yeah. So you're saying he's rigging the election, but elections kept. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's because of the gerrymandering they're doing. But you're engaging in gerrymandering, like in California right now.
We're just trying.
No, but we're doing it for the American people. They're doing it for the other American people. What? People are sick, man. Good on her for pushing back. I did not expect that. Happy to see it. Joe, I always forget which one it is because they're twins. Joe Hoff or Jim Hoff, the Joe Hoff show. Joe Hoff show, he goes off on Christopher Wray. So we've got 2 featured FBI directors that we're going to have Stephen Miller and first Joe Hoff, then Stephen Miller is going to go off on FBI directors. Okay. Things are getting to some form of a tipping point. I'm like, I almost hate to be like, this is it, guys. Like, dude, I have no idea. Like, I don't know when the fever's going to break. You know what I mean? But there feels like there's starting to be a directional push. And based on kind of the history of Trump says something, and then there's a marination period, and then all of a sudden we'll see something happen. You know, it seems like things are kind of moving. So again, part of the evergreen topics, these people put me in prison, so I'm just going to constantly keep throwing this stuff out there, right? It was actually good this weekend. I had my kids in the car.
Yeah.
And I was listening to, and I'm going to play this clip a little bit later with Scott Adams. Now, my children have been very confused by my incarceration and J6. It's hard to explain to little children. There are people who politically view us as nothing and want us dead. You know, how do you explain that to little kids? You know what I mean? Like all those Biden-Harris signs out there. Yeah, you know, I mean, got to be careful. Okay. Like it's tricky. And so I was kind of shocked with my oldest son at some of he just wasn't aware of like the charges. Like, I don't know if we never talked to him about it or honestly, I don't know, but they had to live through it, you know? Right. So like all my sons have the same name as I do. So they've all seen the Google reports, and I don't know that we ever countered it in my own home. I just think we assumed they'd be on my side, right? My kids are young. So every now and then when stuff comes up about J6, I appreciate it. So Scott Adams did that. But this is another one of those things, like when you actually see this for what it was, right? This is why on one hand, you have people who call us a villain, but then on another hand, we got standing ovations in this GOP meeting on Friday. The same group of people, by the way, who wouldn't even let us attend a couple of years ago, right? And why? It's because the awareness of what was done in 2016 into 2020, and even what they attempted to do in 2024 is getting more and more, it's penetrating more and more. So Republicans who once were like, trust Ray, he was a Trump appointee and he's trying to bring the FBI back, more and more people are becoming aware of who Christopher Wray really was.
And then we had the creeps, as I write about in my third book on the Steele, the creeps come in and they start covering it up. And no group, well, look at me, FBI, no group was as corrupt as you. Nobody. I'm challenging you, FBI. This is Merrick Garland, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden's FBI and DOJ. Christopher Wray. You guys are liars, and you know it. You covered up for the crimes in 2020. And here's the bomb. I wrote a piece last night at WhiteHouse.gov saying, hey, get ready. We're going to drop a bomb on this show today. Here's the bomb. Our FBI is corrupt beyond belief, and they covered up massive crimes across the country, but especially in Georgia. They're complicit with these crimes. How can I say that? Because they came in and they allowed these lies to go forward. They did not investigate. They could not have investigated because the evidence is there. We have the evidence, FBI. We have the evidence of material crimes that were committed in Georgia after the election of 2020. Not only did we have video evidence that Rudy Giuliani released after the election, which from a professional auditor's perspective, I've done 200-300 audits around the world. I've presented to audit committees around the world. I've never seen anything so broken. If I would have walked into an audit committee and said, hey, we've got the evidence, it's right here on video, look at this, they would have said, fire those people right away. Fire them. And anybody who hired them, get rid of them. But our FBI stood up behind them and backed them up. And Joe Biden's giving these people awards. This is outrageous. Not only do we have video evidence, we have much, much more. So if something happens to me by this corrupt FBI, I want people to know we've got the evidence. We've got it. More than just video. We've got the evidence. We've got it. They know it. We've got it. We're going to drop this bomb piece by piece on these animals because we got it. Damn you, FBI. And damn you.
And he goes on for another minute. That's the thing.
I think we got it.
When I sat with that reporter in Spokane, liberal reporter, interrupted our whole show, right? And he was like, well, why'd you go to J6? I says, because I feel now as much as I did then about the election shenanigans. And he was like oblivious to it. Like, well, I thought it was all adjudicated. Adjudicated? Right? This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. Hard evidence, videotape footage, copies of election boards, Michigan, Colorado, Georgia, chicken coops on fire in Arizona. Like, we've got it all. Somebody's got to adjudicate this. Somebody's got to see it with clear eyes. These guys covered it up. And it goes back to that Sean Hannity thing. He's part of that apparatus that was like, hey, we're gonna one faulty premise. We just need conservatives to believe in one faulty premise. Russia did meddle. If Russia meddled, then the whole investigation is justified. Oopsie daisy. But fortunately, nobody went to jail. Lots of people went to jail, right? But point is that we can it was all, trust the FBI. It was all properly predicated. Now we're finding out that's not really the case. What are we going to do about it? What about James Comey? He's a part of this. This is Stephen Miller.
It truly is one of the most heinous things that has ever happened in the history of our country, what James Comey did to our democracy. I can't think of anybody in modern history who has done more to sabotage and attack our constitutional republic than James Comey, beginning with the Russia hoax in 2016, as you said, the dirty dossier. James Comey, as the head of the FBI, tried to lay a trap to remove a duly elected president from office, to imprison and incarcerate his political allies and friends, and to lead an actual coup against the laws and Constitution of the United States. What James Comey did is truly one of the most severe assaults on our freedoms and liberties that has occurred in the whole history of this nation. It truly is one of the
biggest assaults on our freedom and liberties that has occurred in the whole history of this nation.
Wow.
Now, last week on Friday, spent a little bit of time talking about this NBA gambling scandal, right? One of my players I like, Chauncey Billups, was rolled up in this thing. I mean, we got the mob, the Campitos. It was like, wow. Stephen A. Smith's out there. Trump's on the warpath. He's taking out the WNBA and the NBA, all of you, because you hated him. And you wear Black Lives Matter t-shirts, right? That's his attitude. Totally wrong. This investigation was started under Joe Biden, right? These guys are cheaters, gambling. This is the stuff the FBI loves to do. Oh, we're very legit. We're going after high-profile celebrities, NBA, blah, blah, blah. These are sacrificial lambs in the big picture of things, right? But Donald Trump posted this on his Truth Social. Now, keep in mind, the real crime is this election stuff, right? And a lot of people are like, hey, look at the FBI. They're so busy. Look, they've taken out this big NBA. And Stephen A. Smith, this is part of the retribution tour. Trump says this: what's worse, the NBA players cheating at cards and probably much else, or the Democrats cheating on elections? The 2020 presidential election being rigged and stolen is a far bigger scandal. Look at what happened to our country when a crooked moron became our president. We now know everything. I'll say that again. We now know everything. I hope the DOJ pursues this with as much gusto as befitting the biggest scandal in American history. If not, it will happen again, including the upcoming midterms. No mail-in or early voting. Yes to voter ID. Watch how totally dishonest the California prop vote is. Millions of ballots being shipped. Get smart, Republicans, before it's too late.
I'll just change that last statement. Get smart, people.
This is my concern, right? I was at this Republican meeting in Bellevue, and we've got an RNC member there. We've got 86 million, 12 million. A clap.
Yeah.
That shows something. That represents something's happening, right? But then you get the state GOP guy, and he's up there. We really have a chance for change, just transgender stuff. We got these 80-20 issues. Yes, awesome. Have you ever considered you never should have been losing elections in the first place? Have you ever considered that we've always had 60% Republicans in Washington? Legitimately. Like, why do you think a lot of Republicans don't vote? Because it's mail-in, because it's machine counted, because I, as a Republican, have gotten my ballot back saying your signature doesn't match. What are you talking about? Nobody's signature matches. You guys don't even match signatures. That's the whole point of this thing, right? Because I voted Republican. You've got clear envelopes where you can see which primary candidate you mark, so they can just spoil that ballot, right? Duh. Why aren't you talking about that? What You're not going to affect any legislation in Washington if you can't seat people. And you really think you're going to seat people over transgender issues when there's transgenders running the elections? Doesn't matter who votes or who counts the votes, right? Look at the system the way it's set up. It's not set up to be partisan, or it's not. And by partisan, I mean two sides. It's kind of set up to be one-sided. Now, this doesn't mean we have to lose fear at all, right? When we expose this stuff, things start to happen. The wheels of justice turn slowly, but they grind finely. James O'Keefe has been at this for what, 20 plus years, 25 years, exposing scandal after scandal. Some of them to great success. Some of them have just kind of gone into the dustbin, and it's just an information point we put in our head. We knew about Act Blue and smurfing for 4 years and watched them run a midterm, all the off-cycle elections, and a presidential election using smurfing funding. And then all of a sudden, as soon as that election's over, Texas is like, hey, we're going to sue these guys. Or maybe it was just before, but not in time to stop it. Yeah. Right. But now it's like, oh, now they require the back of the credit card, the CCV number, and the billions of dollars they raised without it. You realize you put George Santos in prison for raising $50,000 with reoccurring charges. What about all these credit cards where the people that you go up to their door, they're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay. There are results. They're slow. There are results. This White House, though, seems to be a little bit amped on getting results quickly, especially when scandals like the ones James O'Keefe just revealed about all these fake SBA contracts and these shell organizations and these pass-throughs. Now, those videos have been longer. There was a 17-minute one. Then he confronted the person on the undercover video in a parking lot, pulled off his wig, revealed the whole thing, and they kept talking. They're like, you're right, this all is really corrupt. I don't know if they want whistleblower status or what. Okay? Totally blew the lid off the whole thing.
Thanks to the Attorney General and the Department of Justice, who I understand have launched an investigation. Now, that frustrates my audience because they're like, well, that's not enough. That's not enough. And I want to make a comment about that. People on the American right and conservatives, by the way, I don't even know what it means to be conservative anymore. I'm an independent. I'm a constitutionalist. I'm a journalist. But people in the conservative movement have become so disillusioned. I understand. They've become so blackpilled, and trust me, I understand, that they can't take a win. And I got some messages last night from people that the Secretary of the Treasury suspended a $250 million contract. And the messages I got were angry. They were like, well, why aren't the people in handcuffs? And we've never gotten this far before. So you kind of got to take the win. You have to be able to say, this is good progress. And I think the other thing I want to tell all of you, because I'm reading the comments, I see everything you send me, is if you pray and if you say something over and over again, like nothing ever happens to these people, because that's obviously what you're all thinking and saying, nothing will come of this. Your comments are, nothing will happen. What you're going to do is you're going to manifest that outcome. But if you say, we're going to expose every last one of them, then that's what we're going to do. So you could either say, and pardon my language, you could either say nothing will happen to these people. Nothing's going to happen, James O'Keefe. No one's going to jail. None of it matters, James O'Keefe. The Secretary of the Treasury just suspended the $253 million contract, and I understand there's more coming, everyone. So you could say nothing's going to happen. Or you could say, we're going to expose the motherfuckers.
Sorry, Dad.
Woo. And we're going to shut this program down. $100 billion. Now, which of those things do you think we should say?
Which one, Ron? Which one should we say?
Shut it down.
And we should manifest progress. You know, credit to the Q people.
Yeah.
Justice is coming. Justice is coming. Yes, you know what I mean? Like, even if you're not involved, it gives courage to the person who is trying to pursue justice to take the next step. And maybe that's the avalanche.
Well, I think that is why Q kept coming around, because they had that positivity.
But justice is coming. Yeah. And in many ways, it has manifested itself. You know, that's for all the details Q got wrong and slaughtered. And I said this from the very beginning. Listener Robert McPeasant can confirm from the very beginning. I said Q to me looks like a news junkie. If you're in the news as much as I was, because I've read this like sports newspaper for 20 years, right? And once I realized politics was WWE, I started to see it that way. So, as I became a news junkie, I was like, you could see it.
Right.
See it in the news.
There's too many micro references.
Like if you're in it enough, which most people aren't. That's one of the benefits of this show. You get the benefit of a guy like me who gleans all this stuff and whatever. It just amalgamates in my mind and I can spew this out. No notes, Ron. You've sat here watching.
I know.
It's like blunt force trauma. Here we go. Let's just pound away at it, right? But it's easy to see. So I've said from the beginning, Q is just reading the tea leaves. It's seeing the news. But what it did was it created a movement of people who wanted to advance it. And they saw past things like trust sessions or rays of light, all these like little things that were like, Bill Barr's our hero. Come on. Right. Yeah. Was it a psyop or not? I don't know. But inadvertently, if anything, it created a complete movement. It led to Sound of Freedom. It led to a lot of the things that we're seeing right now with Kash Patel and General Flynn kind of adopting that movement. They want those same justices. The whole justice for Epstein thing is a direct growth out of the Q movement, becoming aware of it, right? Big deal. So Trump gets asked on Air Force One if he's going to do the third term thing. Are you going to run for the third term?
One theory on how you might try to serve a third term. And as the vice president. Yeah, I'd be allowed to do that. Is it the White House?
So he just confirmed the rumor. Yeah, I might run as vice president. I'm allowed to do that.
Do that, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I think it's too cute. Yeah, I wouldn't rule that out because it's too cute. I think the people would like that. It's too cute. It's not. It wouldn't be right.
It wouldn't be right if he did that. It's too cute. Yeah, it wouldn't be right. I'd vote for him, but I mean, it's too cute. I'd vote for president. I'd vote for Donald Trump as vice president with Rubio or Vance as president, right? I think Vance is more likely to resign than Rubio. I think Rubio would be like, "You're fired." Yeah, you do have small hands, or something like that.
Be like, psych.
It might be that final retribution, whereas JD Vance doesn't need that. Anyways, he was asked about what he did support for a 2028 ticket, and he referenced Rubio Vance.
I don't have to get into that, but we have one of them standing right here. We have JD, obviously. Vice President is great. I think Marco's great. I think, I'm not sure if anybody would run against us. I think if they ever formed a group, it would be unstoppable. I really do. I believe that. I would love to do it. I have my best numbers ever. It's very terrible. I have my best numbers. If you read it,
it's hard to listen to. So he's just touting his numbers. The background noise on the airplane make it really hard.
I think that's funny. If Rubio's over there. Oh, not me. No. Hey, if Rubio's giving you trouble, you give me a call, Toronto. I got your back.
Now, our favorite old bull of the Senate, Lindsey Graham.
Oh, boy.
Being asked about killing narco terrorists in the open sea. And he had a little something to say about
which way is the wind blowing today.
Marjorie Taylor Greene was on Tucker Carlson's podcast this last week. Oh. And she talked a lot about the MAGA movement being kind of co-opted by this pro-Israel movement. And Tucker Carlson warned us, a lot of times these movements become the exact opposite of what they started out being. They literally become the very thing they were established to fight. They become personification of that thing. And he's worried about that with MAGA. That somehow international first will become America first. It'll be the good old Republican song. Oh, yeah, cheap goods are good for us. Oh, yeah, outsourcing our jobs, that's good for us. We get cheaper goods, cheaper, you know what I mean? It'll be that song and dance again. And he can see it as people are waiting Trump out or trying to capture this MAGA group and kind of redirect them. And so he went over the pillars of MAGA. Lindsey Graham stands opposed to that. Tucker Carlson's like, I'm going to do everything in my power to get Lindsey Graham unelected, but yet he's got Trump's endorsement. And this is like one of the conundrums of the MAGA movement. We've got MAGA purists who understand the doctrine of MAGA, right? And then we have the practicality of politics. Why does Trump endorse Lindsey Graham? My answer's been simple. He's an old bull. He's liaison to the Rhino Party. He has a lot of money in his pack. He's probably not going to be unseated in his election.
He keeps voting the right way.
He keeps voting the right way. So as long as he's doing that and they're playing golf together, Trump seems to kind of have him under his thumb, which is what I see happening here. Doesn't make us very happy, but it's what I see happening. And it's because Lindsey Graham does stuff like this.
Here's what we can do as members of Congress. We can cut off funding for military operations we don't like. So if you're concerned as a Democrat or a Republican, why don't you introduce legislation to cut off all funding to the military when it comes to attacking drug boats and going after narco-terrorist states through the military? You can do that. Go ahead and do it. I'll vote no. Here's what we can do as members of Congress.
Oh, so now we like the legislative process. Yep, you can stop him if you want. Otherwise, Lindsey Graham basically says this. We're not stopping.
The examples you're citing also involved ground troops. You said time for Maduro to go.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot like regime change. Are you talking about troops on the ground?
I'll let the president speak to that. I'm talking about a briefing that would expand military operations potentially from the sea to the land. It is time for Maduro to go. It was time for Ortega to go. The Monroe Doctrine has been robustly applied by President Trump. So these military assets are moving forward to deal with a country that's got blood on its hands when it comes to Americans by flooding our country with drugs from Venezuela and Colombia. So I hope Maduro would leave peacefully, but I don't think he's going to stay around much longer. I think President Trump is tired of Venezuela being used as a staging platform to poison.
One of the talking points they say is Venezuela is not even involved in fentanyl. Apparently, they have been very involved in fentanyl since there's been a crackdown on the Mexican cartels. It's all been diverted. A lot of it's been diverted to Canada and into Venezuela. So they are involved in the fentanyl. No doubt about it. We'll finish off our public side before we jump into private, so you guys have a chance to go become Rumble Premium subscribers. In private on the Rumble Premium, in a couple minutes, we're going to just be talking to the unoffendables. Okay, we're going to talk about some unoffendable topics. We're going to be talking about Trump getting ready to use the military domestically on you, the American citizens, according to MSNBC. We're going to be talking about a very salacious allegation from a reporter, Michael Wolff, against Donald Trump and Epstein, claiming that they were in bed together trafficking women. It's the first time I've heard a claim this salacious. And he's been making the rounds. This is kind of the thing, right? So we're going to be talking about that. And then we're going to hear a little bit from Brett and his wife, the Weinstein. And we're going to be hearing about a fabricated AI backstory to Robbie Starbuck. This is scary. This is scary. You got to be there for that. And then we're going to hear the clip that I listened to from Scott Adams with my son in the car that was very nice to hear. So we're going to be doing all that as soon as we get finished listening to this from Steve Bannon. This is a decisive moment, right? It is win or lose.
I'm asking you as a responsible citizen, if you really think there is a risk of civil war and the situation is as bad as you are saying, don't you have a responsibility as someone who sees this and who's a student of history and has seen what has happened in history to calm things down?
Not to calm things down at all, to warn people. Do you think if we calm things down, they're going to stop? What planet are you living on? This is my problem with this whole concept of liberal debate. We're in a revolutionary time, both technologically, geopolitically, right? Financially. You're talking, you in this magazine, you tell me we're heading to financial Armageddon. There's no other way you can read this. Hang on. If you don't warn people about it and say, we must go to the ramparts, because if you're just passive and docile and just flick the channel and watch the National Football League and go to Taylor Swift concerts, it's over. You need to rally people to say, no, you represent from time immemorial, from every Patriot's grave back to the beginning, the basic working man and woman that has always saved this country in moments of crisis, in the Revolution, in the Civil War, in the Great Depression, World War II. It's always come back to the little guy. This is the fourth turning. The strength of the populist nationalist MAGA movement in this country is we're anti-fragile. We're resilient. You can give us your best shot. You can put us in prison. You can take our credit cards away. You can debank us. You can deplatform us. You can have all the tech stuff that happened. We can't be beaten if we don't quit. And if that takes hot rhetoric, you ain't seen nothing yet, because we're now getting into the middle of this fight, and we're never gonna kowtow to these people. We're never gonna get on our knees to these people. We're never gonna apologize. We're never gonna say we're sorry. All we care about is victory begets victory begets victory, and we know that we're ascendant and they're in decline.
So, Steve, when you look at history and you map the lessons,
that's the end of that clip.
Huh? Yeah, that's really
whatever
good.
he was going to say. It didn't matter.
Yeah. we're at the end here. Frazier says, I do not think Trump can run because he can't qualify to be president again. I understand it would be the same as someone underage or not a U.S. born citizen to be president, can't be VP. At least that is what I learned from my Citizenship in the Nation merit badge. I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong, Mr. Frazier.
I think he's wrong too. And I think it would be cute, like Trump was saying. So either way, it
would be a bad look, but I actually think it would be possible. I reread the 22nd Amendment. I don't know. I think there's some loopholes to walk through there.
Yeah.
Especially when you start doing in fake elections. Who's to say Trump was elected in 2024 or 2016 or 2020? Ooh. I mean, if you ask the Democrats, he wasn't. I'm being serious. Yeah. I'm being serious. If you throw it all out and just say, hey, we've been under a de facto military regime, you haven't had any elections.
Maybe he's got 2 more in him.
Q says he's the 17th president, not the 45th and 47th.
Maybe he needs to run for president a first time.
Woohoo! Of the Republic instead of the democracy. Yeah, who knows? All right, guys, we're going to be jumping over into private. Please, before we leave, though, please consider going and visiting leftbehindandwithout.org. They're getting into the holiday season. They do a lot of gifts for kids with incarcerated parents, and they're looking for additional funding. This is the time of year when there's a lot of requests for kids that are in the program, serving over 100 kids, by the way, which is awesome. It's a very intimate foundation. Every single parent gets spoken to, and their needs get addressed. So please consider visiting and making even a small donation. Even a small $10, $15, $20 donation could be a science kit for a kid with an incarcerated parent, or
could help
bicycle
a kid playing
helmet.
Football or something.
It goes a long ways. Small and big donations alike go a long ways. So please consider visiting that. And with that, we will see you guys in the private, the Unoffendables.